Happy Wednesday, everyone, and welcome to the Early Edge. We've got a great show for you today. I see the chat is already buzzing. Japan, Brian Smith, Big Cheesy, Brandon Silva, JR, Jason. Thanks for being in here. Everybody hit the like button if you can. See you, Bradley Jacobs. Let's take a look at how we did yesterday on the recap screen. Well, Big Cheesy was right. The under came in. Red Sox, Rockies. That one had 6 runs through the third. A lot of men left on base. We don't get there. Sniper 1 for 2. Buckets 1 for 2. And the Maestro gets us across the line with Dodgers money line minus 139 against the San Francisco Giants. Quick note, don't forget on the network yesterday, we did have the AFC Futures episode, which is in your feed. So now we have AFC and NFC Futures in your feeds, your podcast feed up on YouTube. Definitely check that out as you prep for the season. And of course, I'll say it again, we have team-by-team previews on sportsline.com. You're not going to want to miss any of the NFL content. There's so much stuff on there. Also, Early Wedge, we recorded last night. We have got the Early Wedge in your feed as well, covering all things 3M Open. There are even some live picks on there. And of course, I got some first-round leaders out. Those will be in my SportsLine article as well. Let's see if I can go 3 in a row in the first-round leader department. Enough about that. Let's bring in the stars of the show. We have got a lot of baseball today. We've got some soccer. We've got some golf tomorrow. So we're covering all of those angles with Amags, with Martin Green, and with the Sniper. Martin, it's been a couple days since I've seen you. How are you, sir?
I'm very well, thank you, Sia. Yeah, the Euros and Copa America have ended. MLS is on a break as well, but fortunately the Olympics start today. So we've got men's and women's soccer in the Olympics over the next couple of weeks, which should be very exciting.
All right, Amags. Also, it's been a couple days since I've seen you. You're wearing the Yankees hat. What's the state of the franchise right now? I see you kind of shaking your head. Are things bad? Good? You tell me.
I'm wearing the Yankee hat just to hopefully will Juan Soto back to the Yankees. We talked about it really quick before the show, but the post-game interview last night, not great. Things do not look good in Yankee land right now. On the verge of, another little sweep here. It's not good.
Fair enough. I think that's well put. Sniper, you're kind of nodding your head. I will say there was somebody saying Amags had a nice little Tuesday. Hopefully you're following Amags on Twitter and on Sportsline. Again, these early edge picks are a microcosm of what you can get on Sportsline. Sniper, how's it going? And any response to what Amags said about the state of the New York Yankees?
Very good. I can't help but think about 2022 when they were on a historically good pace almost until the All-Star break, and then they were just flat the entire rest of the way. They couldn't hit the ball, and then they got swept in the ALCS. It kind of seems like we're seeing a repeat of that, other than the fact that now they have Juan Soto in addition to Aaron Judge. So 2 of the very, very elite players in Major League Baseball, and you're still getting absolutely nothing around them. That's pretty bad. Also, I wanted to say, not shocked that Buckets is ducking the show today after losing the showdown in the 9th inning yesterday.
Yeah, that was quite the sweat. I was doing the early wedge with Eric Cohen, or I should say Eric Cohen was doing the early wedge with me and Patrick McDonald. Then there were people in the chat, David Talk, among others, saying, hey, Skeen's off to a slow start. They kept him in there and he finally got there. So we knew
slow start with strikeouts. Yeah. I mean, he was still dealing and he was efficient. Yeah.
It's an excellent point. Yeah, from a strikeout standpoint. But he got there, man. Buckets, like you got to fade Buckets when he's doing the showdowns. He tends to lose those. Sniper. Good job. Snug the cat. A big hello to you, Guru, with a lot of exclamation points. Love how the chat is buzzing. Hey, Max, I'm going to start with you. Let's finally get to some official picks. We've got baseball all day and all night. Where are we headed? You got a couple of props.
I do have a couple of props, and I got to say, I'm getting torn apart, and the Yankees are getting torn apart in the chat right here, calling them the Bronx Firecrackers now instead of the Bronx Bombers. They are more like maybe the Bronx Bottle Rockets, right? They're not what they have previously been or expected to be. So you guys could tear me up in the chat. That's fine.
Yeah.
But we do have a couple of hitter props for you today. We have some day baseball. It's exciting here. And so I think what we're going to do, first game here, it's the Phillies game. We're going Bryce Harper. Over 1.5 hit run RBI, around minus 130 now. I still would play it there. I really have no problem if you even minus 135, but just minus 140, I think it starts to probably get a little bit away from you. So you're right in that range right now where you can play it. And look, the Twins, we don't exactly know what they're going to throw at us, but Phillies off day coming, happy flight, right? You get a win here to win the series after you didn't win the last series coming out of the break. So, a little bit of a road trip stutter. And I think that if they get this one today, they'll have a very nice flight home. Bryce Harper, one of those guys that's just been hitting on the road trip here. We have on the other side, Stephen Oker going to be opening the game. Harper should be guaranteed in at bat against him. He has some nice looking numbers in the small sample size against him, even though it's lefty. And then, later in the game, they're bringing this guy, David Festa, back up. We don't know exactly how much he's going to pitch. It sounds like they're going to throw a bunch of guys out of the bullpen there from the Minnesota side. But I think that Harper, if he faces Festa, Oker, he should be able to, at some point there, get over the 1.5 for us. And then secondly, there's not much more to say on this guy right here. I already saw Big Cheesy mention him in the chat. But Brent Rooker, over 1.5 hit run RBI. It's at plus money here against Hunter Brown. And look, Hunter Brown's been good the last couple of times out, but we've seen him have blow-up potential. This A's team is hot. We get a day game out in Oakland there. I'm actually a little bit excited to watch this one. I think that you could go with Lawrence Butler. You could go with Rooker once again. Those guys both at plus money. I think you just got to take them. There's really not much more to say. I will say the one thing, though, about the matchup that I really did like, besides Rooker just being extremely hot in July over 400, it's that the sinker, you see Brown's been leading with the sinker more. It's a pitch that from right-handers, Rooker has just obliterated this year. So I think you could even see him go deep on a sinker today.
Wow. Good information on Hunter Brown there. Yeah, we have some comments in the chat on a couple of these games, but you made a comment, Amags, that you see an Oakland game and just assume it's at night. So like, again, you mentioned it. This is an afternoon game. This one starts at 3:30. So a lot of these bets, we got a game starting at 12:20, Reds, Braves. We got the Cardinals and Pirates at 12:35. So we got games all day and all night. Again, some picks here, some picks on sportsline.com. Absolutely love to see some afternoon in play Amags. If you want to make that Amags pick or any of those picks or any of the picks you're about to hear, go to BetMGM. New BetMGM customers can sign up today and get up to $1,500 in bonus bets. Just place your first wager of at least $10 and you'll receive up to $1,500 instantly if your bet loses with bonus code EDGE. That's bonus code EDGE. All right. Well, we got to get back to some baseball, but first we got to get to some soccer. Before we do that, let's hear a message from our partners. We are back on the Early Edge presented by BetMGM. Comment in the chat from SportsLine. That's us, folks. It says, happy Wednesday, EE fam. Drop your lock of the day. I hope you all know to put that in there. I know some of you have plenty of quote-unquote locks or plays that you like, but if you've got a play that you like, drop it in the chat. We would love to absolutely hear it. And I got to say this. At the end of the Early Wedge yesterday, we had a very quick conversation. And Martin, we'll get to your soccer picks in just a second. A very quick conversation about our favorite band of all time, our favorite singer of all time. Can you all in the chat put that in the chat as well? I'm very curious about that. And I'm going to go around the horn. I don't want any commentary here because I want to get to the picks. Martin, I'm going to start with you. Favorite singer, band, or whatever it is of all time for you.
Difficult. The Killers.
The Killers. Oh, that's a good one. Sniper, you're next.
Metallica.
Oh, that's a good one. Amags, don't ruin this. We're 2 for 2 so far.
I'm like my brain. There's just so many names going. I honestly don't think I could just pick maybe one. I'm trying to think of what I've been listening to recently. But let me get back to you. All right. Let's let Martin go. I'll get one.
Who are you, Buckets?
Yeah, it's classic Buckets.
It's like no commentary.
You can go hip hop artist too. I think artist is probably the word I was looking for there instead of like band or singer. But drop it in the chat who your favorite artist is. I'm going with Linkin Park. So that was my answer yesterday on the Early Wedge. It remains my answer 12 hours later. All right, Martin, we need some answers in soccer as we await some locks and some bands and artists in the chat. You got 2 plays for us. What are they?
Yeah, as I mentioned, Sia, the Olympics start today. The women's tournament is quite standard. It's all the best players. But the men's tournament, you get 15 under 23s and you get 3 veterans. So a lot of the teams are aren't at full strength. So it's a bit interesting. I'm looking at the scores, and currently Spain are drawing with Uzbekistan and Argentina are losing to Morocco. So there's some very strange results going on, which is making me feel a little bit nervous about this pick, but I'm going to give it out anyway. France are the host nation, and France are the favourites. I'm afraid to say I think they could be a bit too strong for the United States today. None of the players that represented them at the Euros are going to be there. None of the main American players are in the roster either, so you won't see Kylian Mbappe, Christian Pulisic, anyone like that. But France do have a very strong squad, featuring the likes of Michael Olise, Desiree Doué, and their veterans are Lacazette, Mateta, and Loic Bardet, who are all good players. So they've got a decent blend of youth and experience. They'll benefit from home support in this game. I think they could be a bit too strong for an American team featuring Walker Zimmerman, Miles Robinson, and Georgi Mihailovic. Both teams to score looks interesting, but I do think France could edge this one. So I'm going France -125 at -111. And just looking ahead to the weekend, I like a team called Bodo Glimt, who are Norwegian, to pick up an away win against a newly promoted club called KFUM in Oslo in Norway. Bodo Glimt are the reigning champions. They're currently 6 points clear at the top of the table after winning 5 of their last 6 games. They have the best away record in the league so far this season, whereas KFUM remain winless at home. So I do like the odds on an away win for Bodo Glimt -125.
All right. A couple of great picks. And, listen, people who aren't paying attention to the Olympics or how soccer is being structured. I mean, I think that's news to a lot of people. They might see some big names from it, like just Euro 2024, Copa America, some household names that don't have the household names, Martin Green. I mean, there are some like big name teams that probably did really well in Euro 2024 and Copa America that you're not necessarily expecting to be great because of how it's structured, correct?
Exactly, Sia. You really do have to look at the squads, look at each team's 18-man roster, and just look for who has quality players. It's important, I think, to look at which countries have done well in under-21 and under-23 tournaments recently, because it's a lot of the young players, and also check to see which 3 veterans that they've been able to call, because a lot of the big clubs in Europe aren't allowing their players to represent their teams because it's so close to the start of the new season. So a bit of research definitely pays off for this one.
Martin, I know you're not prepared to answer this necessarily, but and if you don't have an answer, that's okay. But do you have an outright for the Olympics that either you've already put out on SportsLine or on a network show, or that you want to put out right now?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I do think that France look like the strongest team in the men's tournament, and they do have home advantage. It's a big deal for them, the Olympics in Paris. So leaning towards France for the men's tournament. And for the women's, I really like Spain. They were terrific at the World Cup. All of the players that represented them in the World Cup final are going to be at the Olympics playing for Spain. They just swept the board at the World Cup, and they're still looking really strong. So they're the second favourites after the US WNT. Get about +200 on Spain, and I really like those odds.
Very interesting. All right, I have a golf pick to give out, but we need to get an update. Amags, do you have an answer yet? Favorite artist all time?
I saw it in the chat, and I do think that this is a really good one. Mac Miller, always loved his music. That was kind of my era, so sorry I didn't go rock or anything like that for you there, Sniper.
No,
nothing to be sorry about. To each his own.
That's a great answer. Unfortunately, that's the wrong answer, Amags, because Jeff Sternberg says my favorite singer is the fat lady in the Bronx every September. So long, New York Yankees. That is an epic answer, Jeff Sternberg.
That's a great response.
That's so good. Ryan Woods says, we'll get to my golf pick in a second, but we're going to catch up on some of these answers. Pink Floyd. We've got Tool from Brian Grebbins. We've got Tupac from Japan. That's a great answer. We've got Prince from Michael Brooks. OAR from Brent Ritchie. Numb from Toby Torres. Of course, that's a Linkin Park song. We got Nas in here. Poison. Soundgarden. Some Wu-Tang Clan. Some really good answers in here. Music is great. You got to incorporate music into your life a little bit more than you already. And I'm going to incorporate Tony Finau into my life a little bit more than I anticipated, because I don't have Tony Finau outright at the 3M, mostly because he's 11-1, and I'd rather take guys in that 35, 45, 55-1 market. That's where I've been hitting the last few weeks as I've been on this very, very hot run. You know who's not been on a hot run at TPC Twin Cities at the 3M Open? It's Sahith Theegala. He's a great golfer, but he's played here 3 times. He's missed all 3 cuts. Now, he is a great golfer, so I expect him to bounce back. I expect him to make the cut, but clearly there's something about this course that doesn't fit Sahith Theegala's eyes. On the other hand, Tony Finau, who's a -135 favorite in this round 1 matchup tomorrow morning, well, he's won here. He's in very good form in spite of being on the wrong wave and missing the cut at the Open Championship last week. I don't want to say this is a mismatch, because both of these guys are similarly talented. In other words, I don't know that Tony is more talented than Sahith at this point in their careers. But with that said, Tony Finau, course experience, course history, I do think that matters here to an extent, because it matters in terms of how you attack the course with water lurking everywhere. Sahith Theegala hasn't figured it out yet. He might figure it out this week, and he might figure it out tomorrow, but not to the extent that Tony Finau already has it figured out, and his form coming in is very good. So give me a round 1 matchup, Tony Finau -135 over Sahith Theegala. I was looking at 3 balls. If you have a 3 ball to suggest to have me green light or red light, let me know. 1 3 ball I was looking at as a lean, and it's truly not an official play, but I do want to point it out because this 3 ball will be everywhere for everybody. It's Cam Davis +120 over Taylor Moore and Cam Champ. That's one I'm kind of leaning towards. I do think Cam Davis could have a pretty great tournament. His putter's been bad, but at this tournament, his putter's been pretty good. And we know historically he's a pretty good putter. The ball striking is there. The course history is there for Cam Davis as well. A sneaky DFS, I shouldn't say sneaky. A lot of people might be on him, but a decent DFS play at his price in the upper 8K range that was discussed on the early wedge yesterday as well. All right. That's a little bit of golf. If you have questions for me, let me know, and I'll try to get to them in the chat. We've got Maestro in the chat as well, so ask him any questions you like. We got a lot of baseball, though, Sniper. And we've got, what's interesting here is, I feel like you usually come to the show with a prop or a couple of props. We've got sides today, which excites me because I personally like betting sides, and I've been a little cold, so I'm going to have to tag along to your 2 picks here.
Yeah. Okay. So let's start in DC. We're going to run with the Padres here. It's -115, not too much juice. I suspect it's because they're facing a left-handed pitcher. They were atrocious against lefties for quite a while into the season in a pretty large sample, but they've started to turn that around. And now by many measures, they're just about league average against lefties. For example, their weighted runs created plus is 99. So 100 would be the league average there. Nats lefty Mitchell Parker has a 6.20 ERA in his last 5 starts. So it seems like things are normalizing on both fronts there. And the Padres are just a better team. The Nats have a losing record at home. The Padres just won 2 of 3 in Cleveland. And the Guardians are nearly unbeatable at home. So I like the way the Padres are going right now. I think they're normalizing against lefties. Parker's coming back to earth. On the other side, Matt Waldron, who throws a knuckleball, by the way, as part of his arsenal, and that's really fun. 2.97 road ERA this year, so I like the Padres in that spot. Also, we're going to go down to Texas, where I just was, and we are going to fade the White Sox. They are on pace right now to go 42-120, which would be one of the worst seasons in Major League history, and that's not hyperbole. It really would be right up there with the expansion Mets. 21 of their 76 losses have been by 1 run. Yes. But that means out of their 103 games, 55 have been multi-run losses. So more than half the time. So we're going to play the run line here with Nathan Eovaldi on the hill for the Rangers. Good pitcher against Chris Flexen of the White Sox, 5.22 ERA. Also, Rangers have won 10 of their last 14. They're now only 3 out in the AL West. They're starting to turn things around. The offense hasn't yet kicked into gear, but I believe it will. It's a good spot here against Flexen. One last note on the White Sox. 3-14 in July. They've only scored 20 runs in their last 10 games.
Wow. 20 runs in 10 games is staggering. Go ahead, Amags.
Just to piggyback on that, I do like that play from Sniper there. I actually was thinking about this morning bringing the Nathan Eovaldi 5 strikeouts and the money line for Texas into this today. It was -130 on Caesars, but it was like worse than -150 everywhere else. So I played it just privately, but I do like that pick by Snyder.
Any which way to get the line more favorable, because if you just try to go straight up Rangers money line, it would be astronomical juice.
Yeah.
And I did want to apologize to Amags for giving him a hard time for not being having his number one readily available on the music thing, because I'm a rankings nerd. I rank everything. I do our power rankings for Major League Baseball every week. I rank roller coasters. I rank bands. I rank movies. I rank TV shows. Sia, I think that's why we're always kind of like that.
Yeah. I did a sitcom bracket with Pat Mayo. We did like 5-6 podcasts on that. So I'm a big rankings guy as well. Les O'Connor asks, Sia Nejad, 3-ball matchup Sahith over Keegan Bradley and Nick Dunlap. I actually don't like that, Les. I think Nick Dunlap is kind of the real deal. I think he grades out really well for this course. Of course, he won. We hit him if you follow me on Twitter, if you read my SportsLine article, we hit Nick Dunlap at 45-1 at the Barracuda last week. He has a temperament. In my opinion, he's an amateur that just turned pro in the middle of the season. So he's won as an amateur this year. He's won as a pro this year. He has a temperament that I don't think allows him to take his foot off the gas. So I think he's going to go into this tournament really ready to go. He's actually one of my first round leaders tomorrow at around, I think 50-1. So read my SportsLine article or check out the early wedge for the rest of my first round leaders. But I don't really like that matchup. I would just stay away from it altogether. If anything, I would take the big time plus money on Nick Dunlap. And then we had another 3-ball question. It's from John Parker. Michael Kim over Ryan Moore and some guy. Okay, well, I assume the some guy is somebody none of us have ever heard of or that you've never heard of. But I'm not really a Michael Kim backer here. So I think I would probably stay away from that 3-ball regardless of who that third guy is. Let me see if there's any other questions or comments before we get to the recap screen. Sox Nation, here's a comment. Garth Brooks is still the best. Garth Brooks is pretty awesome. It's an absolutely great comment. Go ahead, Sniper.
There was a Tyler Glasnow 7.5 strikeouts question in there. The person who asked it, sorry, I lost it in the mix, but they asked about the under. The last time out against the Giants, I believe he only struck 1 out and he got knocked around a lot, but he had a minor back injury. For me, that means he's well rested. He's at home. The Dodgers are going well right now. They haven't been getting linked at their starters. I kind of expect him to get linked. Gut feeling is he goes over that tonight, but it's more of a stay away for me.
All right. Absolutely love it. Before we get to the recap screen, a couple of comments. Taylor DeHart says the Rangers to make the playoffs. That's M2's plays. M2's play. Mike McClure, he gave out is starting to shape up, says Taylor DeHart. Big Cheesy says Seager over 1.5 total bases at plus 105. That's one of many that Big Cheesy's given out in the chat. Sniper, you're kind of nodding your head. You like that one?
Yeah, that one's good. I would rather do the hits, runs, RBIs, but I understand that a lot of books, people's preferred books, might not have that one. So they need the offense to get going. Like I said, Flexen's not very good. So you could see all you need is a double, maybe he'll hit a home run. So yeah.
Yeah, and before we bring up the recap screen, Jeff Sternberg, he's just kind of on a roll. Hey, Max, sorry about this. He says the Yankees, this is great, are more useless than the shooting sleeve Ben Simmons wears. Oh, man.
I saw that comment.
My friend. Alden, Max, sorry about that. All right, let's put up the recap screen and get away from this Yankees nonsense. All right, I've got a round 1 matchup. This is tomorrow morning before the early edge starts. Tony Finau in a round 1 head-to-head, minus 135 over Sahith Theegala. If you have matchups you like or 3-balls, go ahead and tweet at me or message me, and I'll try to get answers to you because there's a ton of matchups you can take. Sniper, Padres money line minus 115. Rangers run line, of course, that's minus 1.5 at minus 115. Amags, Bryce Harper over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs at minus 120. And Brent Rooker, this guy is hot, over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs at plus 110. Martin Green, France, minus 1.25 at minus 111. And oh no, I wasn't even listening to the pronunciation here, but I believe it's Bodo Glimt. Money line minus 125. Martin Green, how did I do there?
Perfect. You sounded actually Norwegian.
Oh, wow. Maybe I wasn't paying attention after all. Farzad says, Poston, first round leader. Interesting take there. Check out my first round leaders on the early wedge and in my SportsLine article, which will come out in a couple of hours with all my matchups, my first round leaders, my finishing positions, and of course, my outrights. Hopefully, I can stay hot. But if you listen to the Monday show, you know, Farzad, I like Poston as an outright winner at 35-1. Not a lot of people on that because his recent form has been a little sketchy, but I do love the course fit and his course history. Matt says, great show, guys. Appreciate what you guys are doing. Thank you to Matt and Brad and Robert and Taylor and everybody that's in here every day, or as many days as you can be in here. Hit the like button. Obviously, you're participating in the chat. You're asking questions. You're giving us your plays. We love to see it and hear it every single day. On behalf of Apex and not the New York Yankees, on behalf of the Sniper, Martin Green, Jake the Snake on the 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s. Ladies and gentlemen, let's have a great day. Let's cash some tickets. On the Early Edge, I'm the Counselor of Cash. We rest our case.